Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is my boy cat Audi, and he likes to make appearances in my videos. So it is May right now. Happy May 2024. But if you saw the title, we're recapping the books that I read in February. That is because I am very behind on these monthly recaps, but I still want to film them. I'm so sorry. He's a needy baby. He's a needy baby. I also have a girl cat named Minnie Cooper. So Audi and Minnie. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I read 6 books in the month of February. And the first book that I read was A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. I'm so sorry, but I really want to record this video right now, and so this is just what we're getting. He's getting cat hair everywhere. So this is a fantasy book that is very lengthy. It's almost 800 pages. According to Amazon, it is 768 pages. I purchased the Kindle version, so I don't own it, but it was very long. And it was only $8 on Kindle if you're in the States. So this is book 5 of the Court of Thorns and Roses book series. This one came out in February of 2021. So it's been 3 years since we've gotten another ACOTAR book, and I just am anxiously awaiting when the next one's gonna come out and who it's going to be about. This one has, almost or over 1.3 million reviews across Amazon and Goodreads, and it has between a 4.5 and a 4.8 star rating. I gave it 5 stars, y'all. I love this book, and the first 4 books I absolutely could not stand Nesta Archeron. I don't want to say I hated her, but I basically did. Her name's Nesta, and book 5 is basically just her story. I mean, the whole 768 pages is mostly just about Nesta and her just getting through her trauma or her PTSD, whatever you want to call it, and figuring out who she is and figuring out what type of person she wants to be. And she does get pushed a little bit by Rhysand. Rhysand is mated to Nesta's sister, Feyre. They're in the book. They're in it a lot, but just know that this book is basically Nesta's story. But Rhysand kind of pushes her into what she has to start doing with her training with Cassian, because Nesta is just a little slob kebab whore. In the very beginning of the book, I mean, she's just wasted every night with a different man in her bed. It is what it is. That's how she's coping. Let it be, until one night, I guess she spends way too much money on the alcohol and booze, whatever it is that she purchases, and Rhysand just kind of loses it and just goes to Feyre and says, no, we're done with this, we're done coddling her, she's gonna do something with her life. This is not how it's gonna be. She's not just gonna be wasting our money while also wasting away her life. So he ends up moving her to another place that is just hers, but Cassian is there a lot, and you see the romance develop between Nesta and Cassian. I don't want to get too much into that, but please just know going into this book that there is a lot of smut. A lot. There's a lot. And I'm a very big smut fan. I mean, I like it, but I don't need to read that every 5 chapters in an 800-page book. But I don't know how to explain how tastefully it was done. It was incredible, and I don't think I've ever said that about smut. Even when Rhysand and Feyre hook up, in the other books, it's whatever. But with Nesta and Cassian, y'all, I don't know what it was. And again, I never liked Nesta. I was never a fan of her character. But this book, I mean, the character development, her growth, I'm telling you, I know I'm not the only one that is not a Nesta Archeron fan, and I was a fan of hers. By the end of the book, I just really grew to like her. I still do not like how she was in the beginning. Not in the beginning of this book, but just the beginning of this series leading into this book. Not a fan of her. Just kind of thought she was kind of evil, the B word. I didn't like her. I did not like Nesta, but by the end of this book, oh my gosh, I just loved her. And just I don't know, the growth that she goes through. There's one scene where Rhysand gets into her mind. He's trying to wake her up because I guess she's having this terrible nightmare, and Cassian and Azriel, they don't know what to do. They can't stop this, and Cassian's freaking out because he, you know, I just feel like he secretly loves her. But Rhysand goes in, and when he finally comes back out, he's just looking at Cassian and just saying, oh my gosh, the trauma. It was such a good scene. That was my favorite scene in the book. I even texted my best friend and I said, the writing, Sarah J. Maas's writing, that was such a powerful, emotional, incredible scene. I just loved it so much. This book, 5 stars. It was 5 stars. I gave the very first book in this series 4 stars, and then books 2, 3, 4, and 5, I've given them all 5 stars. They have been so incredible. And I really just was so not wanting to go into this book. I wanted to go into it to read about the other characters. I just was not a fan of Nesta. Just did not like her. But this book was so good. I highly recommend, if you have read, you do need to read the other 4 books going into this 5th book. Also, it's fantasy, so you need to know what is happening going into this one. It's not a cute little interconnected standalone romance. Not quite, y'all. Not quite. But if y'all have not started this series, please do. And if you have started the series and you've only read the first 4 books because you just do not care about Nesta, please just listen to me. Just go into it, and just know that she's a little slop kebab in the beginning, and that's really fun to read about, and then it just gets better after that. And even the female friendships that develop, so much goes on in this book. There is a lot in 800 pages. It is not all smut. I know a lot of people say, oh my gosh, the whole book is smut. It's not. There is a lot of smut, but that is not the whole book. Please do not think that. Also, if you don't want to read that, just skip it. It's not like the smut is hundreds of pages long. Just go through that. Get through it. But this book was so good. But yeah, that was book number 1 in February of 2024, and I highly recommend it. I just wanted y'all to see Minnie Cooper. This is my little girl cat. Also, I'm pretty sure in one of my January wrap-up videos, because I read 16 books during that month, and so I posted 2 videos just showing the first 8 books and then the next 8 books, and I think I'm wearing these pants but a different shirt in that video. I am not recording these on the same day. I am telling you right now, it is May 2024 right now. But anyways, I just wanted to show y'all Minnie Cooper before I continue with my books. The second book that I read in the month of February was the second Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This is the second out of 7 books, and as of right now in May, I've read the first 4, and I vlogged the 3rd book and the 4th book, but I did not vlog this one, this second book. The very last book in this monthly wrap up for February was the very first vlog on my channel. But this one, oh my gosh, I just love the world of Harry Potter. I've gotten so into it because my husband is so obsessed with the books and the movies. So every time I finish a book, we watch the movie. So in February, I read the second one and then watched the second movie. And we even went to Universal Studios in Japan recently, and we got to see the magical flying car that Ron Weasley stole from his dad to come and rescue Harry from the Dursleys' house, from his aunt, uncle, and cousin's house that he lives with. Oh my gosh. So this one, it's free on Kindle Unlimited if you're in the States, and it came out in 1997. Y'all, this book came out 27 years ago. I'm 37, so I was 10 years old when this book came out. And I'm trying to think, I know it's got over 4 million reviews across Amazon and Goodreads, and it has between, I think, a 4.4 and a 4.8 star rating. I gave the book 5 stars, no surprise there. And the length, I know it's under 400 pages. Amazon is wrong a lot with these Harry Potter books. Like right now, Amazon said it has 341 pages. Not really sure. Again, I read it on Kindle because it's free on KU in the States. But this second book it's the Chamber of Secrets. So there's something going on at Hogwarts. It starts off with Harry being at the Dursleys' house, his aunt, uncle, and cousin's house over the summer. He has the worst birthday ever. I mean, he always has a terrible birthday because they just don't help him celebrate. And then a house elf named Dobby shows up and starts trying to warn him and keep Harry from going back to his wizarding school, Hogwarts. Dobby's trying to warn him, and then Dobby is just creating all of this mess and calamity to get Harry in trouble and make it look like Harry is using magic in the Muggle world, the non-magical world, and get him in trouble by the the magical side. Oh my gosh, Dobby is just trying every which way to keep Harry from going back to Hogwarts this year. It's a whole thing. And then, yeah, Ron saves Harry, pulls him out the window with Harry and his luggage and his owl. They get into the flying magical car that Ron stole, and then they end up at Hogwarts. They do go to school, and then what's going on at school is people or students are being petrified. They're literally, it's like they turn to stone. They just freeze. And it's happened to a couple of students, and it even happens to a cat. And so they're just trying to figure out why this is happening to these students and this cat, why they're getting petrified, what it is that they're seeing. And then Moaning Myrtle has a lot of clues leading to it. Oh my gosh, I love that ghost and all of her self-esteem issues. And then Harry he's hearing things, and he's kind of understanding what he's hearing, but no one else is hearing this. So that comes into play. That was really interesting. And then of course, you have your bullies and your harassers. You've got Draco Malfoy and Professor Snape. Cannot stand them. I mean, I've read up until the 4th book, still can't stand them. And then, Dobby shows up at Hogwarts. Dobby just keeps appearing because he's just trying to stop Harry from getting hurt and getting into trouble. Dobby has good intentions. Dobby's a hot mess express, and he's a house elf for Draco Malfoy and for his father Lucius, and I just hate him. I don't like him either. I'm trying to think what else. Oh yeah, Hermione. Hermione's answer every time to anything, any sort of question or dilemma, is to put her head in a book. Let's just go to the library and figure it out. And so Hermione is constantly running to the library to see what else is going on. And this book was so good. It was so cute. I love J.K. Rowling's writing, and she really sucks you in. And anything that happened in the first book gets brought up in detail in the second book, so that you're caught up and you're not wondering, oh my gosh, wait, what did I read in the first book? Did I forget anything? She's been like that with every book, and I appreciate that, because I know all these books came out, a year apart from each other or something, and I'm reading them all every month, every other month. But Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, 5 stars, y'all. The third book that I read in the month of February was Bad Girl Reputation. This is the second in a trilogy. I read the first one, Good Girl Complex, in January. Then in February, I read this one, Bad Girl Reputation. It is free on Kindle Unlimited. Did I say it's by Elle Kennedy? It's by her. She seems like a really revered author, but I don't know. I read her books, and I'm not into them like everyone else is. This book, I mean, it has a lot of ratings. It's got over 45,000 reviews between Amazon and Goodreads. So, I mean, a lot of people have read this book, but it only has between a 3.5 and a 3.9 star rating. I gave it 3 stars. It's kind of short-ish. It's a second chance romance book. It's about 312 pages. And this came out in October of 2022. So in the first book, you're following Mackenzie and Cooper. Cooper has a twin brother named Evan. So in the second book, you're following Evan and Genevieve as they try to get back together and have their second chance romance. But I think they are early to mid 20s in this book. And I don't know, how would you describe the second chance romance? It is dual point of view. So you get to read about both of them. And it's called Bad Girl Reputation, but he was also a bad boy, if that's what you want to call him. They have been on and off since high school. So they met when they were teenagers. They were together a very long time. It was very tumultuous, very on and off. Lots of partying, lots of drugs, just lots of not good decisions. And then one day Genevieve just leaves. She just up and leaves. And that's a big thing at the beginning of the book, because Evan is so heartbroken over it. And I don't remember the exact quote, but it's something along the lines of, she just left without telling me. but more so, she just left without even taking me with her. I mean, that you really feel for him. And you meet Evan in the first book, and he is just struggling that first book. I mean, Genevieve has left him, and he's spiraling, and he's hooking up with everyone, and he's drinking a lot. And so that's what's happening in this book until Genevieve comes back into town because her mom passed away. So that's how they reunite, and that's why she comes back. And then there's a family business, and her dad needs help with that. So she comes on as, I don't want to say secretary or receptionist, like the office manager. She's handling, just making sure invoices are paid, answering the phone, setting appointments, because I think is it a construction company? I don't even remember. But she comes back into town, and she is reformed. She has quit the partying, she's quit the drugs, she's quit all of that. But again, she's been gone for a year, so no one in the town believes that she's no longer a bad girl. And then you have Evan over here, just with all of his random hookups and all of his partying, just because he's so heartbroken. And he wants to get her back, and he keeps trying to show her, oh no, I've changed, I'm such a good person now. But he's changing right at this moment. He's changing as she's back into town. So it's really funny what he gets up to, and he'll stop doing something, and then he'll go to her and be like, no, like, I stopped doing that. Yeah, well, you stopped doing that 4 hours ago. But you didn't stop it for a while. She has changed her ways. She's a year into this new image of Genevieve, but Evan is he's just so happy to have her back though. And it's a second chance romance. I mean, it's really cute, it's angsty, but I don't know, I wasn't a fan of it, so I gave it 3 stars. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can tell y'all about it. I know she gets a lot of peer pressure from her friends and even from Evan to drink, and to just drink in moderation. You can do it. No, she's a former party girl. I don't want to say she's a former alcoholic, but if she has stopped drinking, don't pressure her to drink. I don't understand that. And then there's a friend who's always doing, we'll just say blow. I don't want to say the other word because I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube, but she's hanging out with that friend who's just doing that left and right, and it's in her purse. And then obviously when that friend walks away, Genevieve's at the table with that purse with the substance in it. And so obviously I'm sure you can see where I'm going with that. There's also a cop in the book that just can't stand Genevieve. I don't like him. And so I don't know. There's like troubles that she gets into that are not her fault, but also don't put yourself in those positions. I mean, if you're a reformed bad girl and now you're a good girl, don't backslide. Maybe don't go hang out with all of those people who put you in these bad positions in the first place. I don't know. I didn't like the book. But anyways, that's Bad Girl Reputation, and I didn't read the third book. The third book is out, and I just have no desire because I gave the first book 3 stars and I gave this second book 3 stars. All right, I apologize if my glasses have turned into sunglasses. I was actually sitting out on my balcony in between these clips because I'm so chilly in here. I'm about to put on, I don't know, maybe my robe or a sweater, but I thought, oh, well, it's really nice out. Let me go sit out there. But I'm so afraid to film outside because I don't want everyone to hear me. So I've come back in here. Okay, so the 4th book that I read in February was a historical fiction. I don't know, have I ever read an historical fiction up until this point in February? Because I know as of now I have. Like, I read The Vanishing Half. That's a historical fiction. I don't know. But this one, it's a historical fiction, and it's by Barbara Davis. I've never read from this author before. It's called The Echo of Old Books. And, you know, it came out in March of 2023, so a year ago. And it has over 131,000 reviews across Amazon and Goodreads. So, I mean, do people know about this? I did not know about this author. It was free on Kindle Unlimited, so I wanted to read it, and I really enjoyed it. It's kind of long. It's 413 pages, but I really enjoyed it. It has, I was just looking at it, and I don't remember. I think between a 4.3 and a 4.6 star rating. I gave it 3 stars. It was good. It was a good book. I don't know, I didn't love it. I wanted to know what was happening and what was going to happen next, and so I kept reading it, but I don't know, at the end of it, I was just like, I don't think I really liked that book, but it was a really good book and I recommend it. I would love for all of you to read it and give it 5 stars. I don't know. I can't really pinpoint what it was. The premise is so cool though. There's this woman named Ashlyn, and she has, I don't want to say the book is also magical realism, because there's only one piece that is magical realism. Other than that, let's just call it a historical fiction. But if she's holding a book, well, this is a little journal, but if she holds a book, she can feel the echoes of the book and feel, I don't know, she can almost either feel how the author was feeling when the author wrote the book, or she can feel the people who have previously read the book, what they felt. I don't know. What did it say in the synopsis or in some of the reviews? I don't know. It's like a book fingerprint, an emotional fingerprint that she gets when she touches a book or holds a book. So she works at this bookstore, and there's a whole story behind that. I mean, she owns it. It's her bookstore. There's a whole story behind that. That was cool to read about, how she acquired this. And then also her abilities, how these abilities started. So that was really interesting. But this man comes in because a family member has passed away, and he's cleaning out that house. And this person that has passed on had a ton of books. And so he has all these books in a box, and he just gives them to Ashlyn and says, here you go, goodbye. Just donates them. And Ashlyn's going through all the books, and then she finds 2. They are bounded books. These are books, but there's no publisher, there's no author. One is written by someone named Hemi, and one is written by someone named Belle. And I think the one by Hemi is called Regretting Belle. That one was written first. And then the second book by Belle is called Forever and Other Lies. And she's holding them, and she's feeling tragedy and betrayal, and she's just so interested. And she starts reading these books, and she's thinking, I think these are 2 real people that dated, and something happened, and they're no longer together. And it's like they wrote each other a love letter, but they're so long that they're books. And so Hemi wrote his book to Belle. He wrote it, and then it's like Belle responded to him in her own book. It's very interesting how that plays out. I know I'm maybe not making the most sense when it comes to this, but that was really cool. Those books, so it's like a book within a book. So those books take place in the 1940s, and it follows Hemi and Belle and just everything that happened. And then now it's decades later, and there's a man named Ethan. Ethan was the one cleaning out the house and then brought Ashlyn all these books. And so Ashlyn's contacting Ethan, just trying to figure out, where did you get these books from? Do you know who wrote them? Do you know their last names? I don't even know if these first names are actual first names or if these are nicknames. And she's so intrigued. And then she starts saying some of the things that she's reading in these books, and Ethan's thinking, I might be related to these people. So then it brings Ashlyn and Ethan together. There is a tiny bit of a romance subplot with Ashlyn and Ethan, but please just know that going into this book, it's not a romance book. It's straight up a historical fiction, and you're trying to figure out what's going on with these 2 books. And Ashlyn is trying not to let Ethan know that she has this sort of magical ability because she doesn't want to be deemed as a psycho. And it was very interesting. Again, I gave it 3 stars, and I feel so bad for doing that because the writing was really good. I mean, this was a good book, but there was something that it was lacking. Also, I'm a romance girly at heart. I love romance books, and I've recently gotten into fantasy books, and I love thrillers because they just keep the plot going. So maybe that's what it was about this historical fiction. Maybe it was just too slow for me. I mean, there was definitely a lot of plot. So I can't say that there was no plot and it's all just characters. There's a lot going on. It's interesting, and there's someone that sabotaged this couple, and it's now they're older. That couple from those 2 books that were written are much older, and then you've got Ashlyn and Ethan, and they're, in their life. I don't know. I don't want to say too much. I think you should read it. I think y'all should read it. Maybe if I read it again, I might give it 4 stars. I don't know, but at the time I gave it 3. But very interesting premise, very interesting, and I think y'all should definitely check it out. Book number 5 was by Simone St. James. Y'all, I want to say I love this author, but so far I've only loved one of the books that she's written. So The Sundown Motel, this was the very first book that I read from her, and I gave this 5 stars, and I just thought, oh my gosh, I need to read every Simone St. James books, because she mostly writes thrillers, and they all have a little bit of a paranormal element to them, and this book was so good. Sundown Motel, highly recommend that. But then I read The Broken Girls, and I gave it 3 stars, and then I read The Book of Cold Cases, and I also gave it 3 stars, and then Kindle was having a sale, and Silence for the Dead by Simone St. James was only $1.99. So I purchased it on my Kindle, and I gave it 3 stars. So this book came out 10 years ago. It came out in April of 2014. It's 385 pages. It does have over 14,000 reviews across Amazon and Goodreads, so that's really good. But it's got between a 3.8 and a 4.2 star rating, so sort of middle of the road. I gave it 3 stars, like I said, and I read it on Kindle. I don't own it physically, even though I want to. I want to own all of her hardbacks because I want to read them all and have them on my shelf. But this one, so again, the premise is really cool. I don't know, some of these premises are really cool, but then I'm just not interested in it once it happens. I mean, I wanted to know what was going on all the way till the end, but I just wasn't having a good time with the book. So it takes place in 1919. All right, so we all know from our history classes what happened from 1914 to 1918. The Great War, World War I, whatever you want to call it. So it's 1919. It's after the aftermath of this. And this girl, Kitty, she's 20 years old. She's running away from London. She runs off to rural England. She was working in all of these different factories under assumed identities, under other identities, and then she fakes her way up to this place called Portis House. It used to be an estate, now it's a hospital, and she says that she's a nurse. Y'all, she is not a nurse at all, but she claims that she is, and they're very understaffed, so they hire her, and then it's found out by day 1 or 2 that she's not a nurse, but they keep her on because they need people, and she's got 19 patients, and they're all shell-shocked soldiers. So this part of the book was so sad because it's a pretty accurate representation of how these men were treated after the war. They're shell-shocked, but they are deemed to be insane. There was no such thing as trauma and PTSD at this time. They just thought these people were in the war and they came back crazy, which was not the case. But again, this is taking place in 1919, so let's remember that. So it's more like a historical thriller, if you want to call it that. But Kitty, she starts at this place, and again, it's called Portis House, and it used to be an estate, and the family that lived there just left. They just up and left one day, and no one knows why. Where did they go? Why did they leave their home? The items are still in it, and there's a little bit of a spooky element, a little bit of a paranormal element. And what's interesting about these 19 soldiers is they all are kind of having the same reoccurring nightmare. There's a lot of things that they all say that are similar to each other, and not all of them talk to each other. It's like there's a paranormal element at play. There's a reason why this is happening, and Kitty is trying to figure it out. And then there was a man pretty much at the front lines of the war. I mean, he was all about it. He was the golden boy of the war. And then he came back, and everyone is thinking, where did Jack Yates end up? Well, he's actually one of the patients, and he and Kitty kind of develop a friendship and maybe a little bit more. But this is not a romance book. Please don't think this is a romance book at all. But Kitty and Jack are just trying to figure out what happened at this mansion. What happened to the previous owners? What's going on right now? What is up with all these paranormal elements, the different areas that have cold air, the plumbing in one bathroom, it's always creaking, cracking, and it's like creepy in a way where it's not normal that it's doing that. I don't want to say too much, but I mean, it's a thriller, and I love thrillers. I can read them very quickly. They're very digestible, bingeable, and I read this book really fast as I looked down at the other 3 books. I read this one very quickly, but I don't know, there was just something about it that I wasn't vibing with. You also learn more of Kitty's story, like why she's running away, why she's got all these assumed identities, why she keeps bouncing from factory to factory, and then now why she's pretending to be a nurse, and she is not a nurse, and she's even thinking, how hard could it be, girl? She's 20. I'll give her that. She's only 20, so she's a little bit of a ding dong. But there's just a lot that was going on in this book, it was all interesting, but I didn't love it. There was just something that I didn't love. I couldn't give it 4 or 5 stars. I gave it 3, but I can see my cat down here out of the corner of my eye, and so I keep wondering what the heck my cat is doing. But anyways, I think you should still read it. I want to read all of her books, and I still want to buy this book just to have the hardcover to add to my collection of Simone St. James books, but I don't know. Once again, 3 stars. So out of 4 books, I've given 3 of them 3 stars, and 1 was a 5-star. But again, Silence for the Dead, 3 stars. Okay, my last and final book for February, book number 6, was Touched. It's in the Caress of Fate series. There are 4 books in this series. I only read the first one. It's free on Kindle Unlimited. It's by Elise Amour, or Elise S. Amour. I was just looking at it, and I already don't remember. It has, I hated this book. It's got over 11,000 reviews across Amazon and Goodreads, and it has between, what did it say? I was literally just looking at it. A 3.8 and a 4.2 star rating. I gave it 3 stars. Y'all, this book is actually a 1 or a 2 star book, but since I read it on Kindle and you can rate it right then and there, I never like giving anyone under 3 stars because you wrote a book, good for you. So I always give them a 3, but I'm kind of wondering if that's the consensus with this book because I hated this book so much. I have so many strong feelings. This is the very first vlog on my channel. The very first video I ever posted was a vlog for this book. And I was a lot nicer in that vlog than I am being right now. But tell me how there are over 11,000 reviews for the first book. The second book has about 5,000 reviews. The third book has about 3,000 reviews. And the fourth book has about 2,000 reviews. And the first one came out in 2016. These have all come out a while back. Someone bamboozled us. I don't know if these 11,000 reviews are fake or bought, or this author just has a lot of friends and family and just told them to leave 5-star reviews or just leave a good review. 11,000 reviews, and that is what some of the reviews say. They're like, I feel like I was tricked, I was misled, I was scammed. This book was so awful. I was looking for a young adult gothic fiction. This book is more of a young adult gothic romance, and I thought, cool, free on Kindle Unlimited. It's under 400 pages, 376 pages, and I thought, okay, we can read this. Essentially, it's about a Grim Reaper. He's called a Subterranean, but it's a Grim Reaper falling in love with a human girl, and they're very young. This girl's in high school, and it's not forced proximity. What else is it? It's controlling dreams. He can control her dreams. There were a lot of chapters where you thought you were reading a real story, and then at the end, she woke up. Gemma woke up from her dream. It's between Gemma and Evan. Evan is the Subterranean. Gemma is the human. What else was it? Controlling dreams, Grim Reaper falling in love with a human girl. Oh, touch her and you die. Oh my gosh, touch her and you die. That is not a thing in this book. He would talk, just talk, and he would never have any action. Every time something happened to Gemma, he was not there to help her out or to save her. But in his own dialogue, oh my gosh, if anything ever happened to her, oh, I would kill everybody. I would do this, I would do that. He never did anything. Evan was weak. He was weak. I did not like him. Oh my gosh, I hated him so much. And then he's talking, all this smack. If anyone touches Gemma, and then Gemma gets kidnapped, and Evan doesn't do anything. He just sits on the couch, and he's like, what do I do? Oh my gosh. I have such strong feelings about this book. I hated it so much. Oh my gosh, I hate saying that. It was such a bad book. Who was the editor? You need a new editor, Miss Amour. I cannot. What is the premise of this book? He's a subterranean. So he gets contacted by I don't know who, but someone will let him know these are the people that you need to kill today because, it's fate. Some people don't make it to 100 years old. Some people make it to 25, some people make it to 70. It is fate. And so he and his roommates, they are part of, I don't know, this world. And if they're given a client list of people that they have to execute, then they have to go for it. Well, guess who's on Eben's execution list? This girl, Gemma. And he thinks nothing of it. Like, oh, I'm gonna go kill Gemma. This, I don't know, 16, 17, 18-year-old girl. She's in high school. And he meets her, and it is immediate love at first sight with both of them. And they don't even, okay, love at first sight can be done right. It can. This book did not do it. It was so awful. And they were so in love and so obsessed with each other, and they had never even spoken a word to each other. The fake, like the angst and the tension that the author was trying to create and write, it was so bad. And so many repetitive phrases, the emotion that I felt for him and the longing that I longed, and I gazed into his eyes. It's like she was trying to create tension and trying to create this love and this bond that they had before they've even talked to each other, and it was done so poorly. Oh my gosh, this book was so bad. I almost want y'all to read it so y'all can feel how I felt about this book. But maybe that's also why there's over 11,000 reviews on this book, even though it has a mid rating, between a 3 and 4 star rating. So I don't know, people like it, and I don't know how. I'm not an elitist. I don't think I'm a book snob. I will read whatever, but this book, it was so bad. It was just awful, and it was so repetitive. It's 10% plot and 90% just them longing at each other and gazing at each other and looking into each other's eyes, and they're so in love, and they haven't even had a conversation. I'm getting worked up. I'm gonna stop. That was book number 6 in February, the first video on my channel, and it was awful. And the more I think about it, the more mad that I get, but I digress. Those were the 6 books that I read in February of 2024. I swear I'm going to catch up. Right now it is May, but I'm gonna get through March, April, and May, and then be caught up. But thank y'all so much for coming along on this monthly wrap-up journey with me, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.